What's going on, everybody? SammyV here with Millennial Stories with SammyV podcast, episode number 11. I'm so excited about this podcast today. We got the amazing Christine Moore on today. Hey, if you're a new time or first time viewer to this podcast and YouTube show, wherever you're finding me, whether that's on SoundCloud, iTunes, Stitcher, or YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. That way you can get more episodes just like this right away. Really appreciate you checking it out. Millennial Stories is a podcast where I interview people in their 20s and 30s who are absolutely crushing it. I do this podcast for a couple of different reasons. One is I went down to an entrepreneurial conference about a year and a half ago, and I've met amazing people in their 20s and 30s who are doing incredible things with their life. And I left that conference being so inspired by the young people that I met. And so I said, what if I could recreate that same experience in a podcast or YouTube show format? And so that's the purpose behind it. But like I said, I have the amazing Christine Moore on today. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad to be here.
It's her first ever podcast she's ever on, which surprises me because of how much, like we were talking before this, is how much you do. The business that you're running right now is exploding. It's doing amazing. You're the owner of Lil Buff.
Literally exploding.
Literally exploding. Yeah, it's true. Which we're going to talk about in a minute. But you're the owner of Lil Buff Protein.
Yes.
And which is a protein cake mix.
Right.
Okay.
It's a protein cake mix that is gluten-free and microwavable, and it's got 26 grams of protein. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's such a cool product, such a cool idea. You also do anesthesia. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Okay. Yes, I'm an anesthetist.
Okay.
So.
That's a hard word.
I know. Try telling people you do that for a living.
And you also do some marketing consulting.
Right.
For a protein company, is that correct?
Right. For NutriKey and Rep Sports, I run their ambassador programs and help with social media and e-commerce marketing. It's
amazing. So you're busy, and you got kids too.
3.
3 kids.
3.
Wow, that's amazing.
So.
I have a friend who's also a mother. She's got like 4 kids, and I think I'm busy, and I'm like, your life blows my life away as far as busy goes. So how did you get started in Lil Buff Protein? How did that all come about?
It was so random. So after I had my 3rd kid, I decided that I needed to do something different to get in shape than everything I had done, because I had pretty much done everything, ran marathons and DVDs and all that. And so I started to lift weights and get into bodybuilding and competing. And through that process, I got really sick of chicken and asparagus and broccoli. I was like over it.
How did you get sick and tired of asparagus?
I know,
amazing.
Right? And so after eating that 6 times a day, on schedule, I was like, there's got to be another way to still get lean and be healthy, but just not be choking this down. So I just one day started experimenting in the kitchen and threw together some healthy stuff. Threw it in the microwave, and I'll never forget that the microwave beeped and my husband was like, you just always make the most like amazing random things. And it came out and I tried it and I was like, dude, this legit tastes like cake. It's got the same nutritional makeup as my chicken and asparagus. Like, I'm eating this every day.
Amazing.
Every day.
Yeah.
So I did. I ate it every day and I started posting it on Instagram. And then people were like, well, where can I buy that at? I was like, I don't know, I make it in my microwave. Literally had people showing up at my doorstep wanting to buy it. And I was sitting there, I'm like, I'll go make you one. I don't know what to do. And from there, it just kind of rolled into what it is now.
Yeah,
so.
That's amazing. Now, I know this to be a fact, but you didn't want to be an entrepreneur, is that correct?
Absolutely not, no.
Why not?
The whole idea of running a business and everything that goes into it was just incredibly, it just gave me a really unsettling feeling, that vulnerability. And I always saw myself just doing a job that I could just show up and at the end of the day go home and not think about it. And I was just really intimidated.
Yeah,
so
wow.
pretty much every decision I made in my life went away from ever being a CEO or an entrepreneur or anything like that. And it came and found me instead. So
yeah. So what you said, there's a vulnerability to it. It's intimidating. You know, you're running a significant business. Like, your business is on pace to do 7 figures this year in sales, which is and you only started this 2 years ago.
Correct.
Which is amazing. And so, I mean, what was that transition like mentally, emotionally, to go from I don't want anything to do with entrepreneurship to now I'm running a 7-figure business?
I think my naive attitude about it made it a lot easier, because when I started it, I wasn't starting it going, I'm gonna have a 7-figure business. Like, I was starting it going, all my friends say I should do this, so I'll just try it. If I can get some Lululemon pants at the end of the week, I was successful.
If I can make enough profit.
Yes.
And Lululemon is expensive.
Yeah, I'm like, if I can just, like, you know, maybe like have a little extra fun money, get my nails done, get my eyelashes done, and not feel guilty about it because I'm not dipping in my kids' college fund, like that's success. So my idea of success was so small that it took kind of that intimidation away.
Yeah.
And so it really, the hard part for me was time management.
Okay.
You know, as busy as I was, working full time in the operating room, which is an intense, stressful job, and then taking care of my family and my house, to start another venture, I really had to squeeze. So that's where sleep, laundry, all those things kind of went out the window.
Yeah.
And we just kept squeezing time and making things happen.
Is that still the hardest thing for you now, time management?
Yeah. For sure. Because when you're an entrepreneur, I mean, you literally work 24/7. I squeeze time, you know, if I get stuck at a doctor's appointment, I'm on my phone working, you know, you're just, but it's a different type of work because you're working for yourself. And so it's different. You actually reap the benefits of what you're putting into it versus a traditional job where you're busting your butt so somebody else can reap the benefits of that.
Yeah.
So as much as you're working all the time, it doesn't feel like that. You're passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah. Which is so interesting because you just said like 10 minutes, or not 10, we haven't even been in this 10 minutes, but 2 minutes ago, that like you just wanted that 9 to 5, you just wanted that, and now you're like, I like it.
Yes.
You know, which I find interesting. I have a similar story in that, like, I never knew I wanted to work for myself or try to build something on my own. I just knew I was ambitious. You know what I mean? I knew that I wanted to do something great. I knew I wanted to build something. You know, I didn't know what that looked like. I don't even think I'm an entrepreneur. I don't. I'm like, I don't even look at myself as an entrepreneur. I just look at myself as, I want to build something, you know, cool. So
make an impact.
Yeah, make an impact, you know, and change people's lives, and however that is, because really that's part of what your business is doing, because you're providing a product that is healthy, you know, and you're also, I actually have talked to people and they're like, I'm tired of eating the chicken and rice diet or chicken asparagus diet, and you're providing something that they can enjoy and love and still get the nutritional value, which is really cool. So what's been, so you said time management, but what's been one of the other hard things in owning your own business and building this from the ground up?
I think some of it stems from the fear of rejection and the fear of failure. That can be really a tough thing. I think that held me back in the beginning, just being afraid.
Rejection of what?
Of the product that I was creating.
Okay.
Like, I was like, hey, I like this, but this is coming from a girl that's eating chicken and asparagus every day. So to me, this was like amazing. But okay, so I want to take your random guy who eats Twinkies and Ho-Hos every day and give him my protein cake mix and see what he thinks, because that's a totally different perspective.
Sure.
And just that fear of failure, it actually kept me from putting reviews on my website for a long time, because I was just scared of getting a negative review, you know.
Yeah.
But eventually, I gained enough confidence to open myself up to that vulnerability and just putting myself out there, and it's amazing. Like, we have over 2,000 5-star reviews with a 99% recommended rate. So,
oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Right. So I mean, I was so afraid to do that, and then I finally just took that leap, and just, you know, that's a huge thing. It's just the fear of failure will keep you from getting to the other side.
Yeah.
But if you can push past that, then you really open up.
How did you push past it? Was there a moment? Was there a time when you were like, screw it, or was it just like a progressive? What got you past it?
I think I would like to say, oh, I just grew a pair and was, you know, but I think a lot of it is you kind of build that confidence. You know, we would do live demos and at like a booth, and people would walk up and pop it in their mouth, and then you would just look at them and like, you know, if someone's like, yeah, it's good, you know, or you know when they're like, their mouth drops, their eyes bug out, and they're like, this is amazing, you know. And so after enough of seeing everyday people's reactions and getting feedback from the customers we had, I was like, all right, like we got something good. Like I'm gonna put the reviews out there, and so everyone needs to know it's good.
Yeah.
So
that was kind of when you realized you were onto something.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that because I've sat in my room like I need to create a product. Like I'm like, you know what I mean, trying to think of something.
Right.
And here you are, you just stumble upon something in your day, and you just had the courage to like try it and do it. When you first started selling the product, actually, like, you know, you said people would come to your doorstep, and you're like, I can make you some. Like, when you first, we actually talked about this on the phone, but when you first bought product, you know, and you actually made a financial investment, what was that like?
That's scary because and here's where the difference comes from, like the young millennials in their early 20s and then the older millennials like myself. There's a lot at stake when you have a family with 3 kids and, you know, you want to save for their college and, you know, things like that. So going out on a limb and spending $30,000 on packaging, when you think about that's like a full years of college tuition, you know, there's just so much at stake. You have so much responsibility when you have mortgages and, you know, daycare payments and things like that. So it was definitely scary, but at that point I knew for us to get to the next level, we started with little bags that we were hand stickering, and that's when you start to think outside the box and think like, there's got to be a better way to do this. If we actually invest in pre-printed packaging, we're going to cut down on labor costs, our branding is going to be more on point. And so you just have to be willing to take the risk and know that it's going to make everything better in the future. But it's definitely scary.
Yeah.
I got 3 kids to feed, and they eat a lot.
It's true.
And I didn't want to take on investors. I didn't want to go that route. We've had tons of people willing to invest for a percentage of our company. But I really felt like even if we had to carry a little bit of credit card debt for a month or two, that because, you know, with a product, you always have to buy everything up front and then make the money back.
Right.
And in the beginning, it was like we were always carrying some credit card debt because it just takes a while for that process.
Sure.
The crazy part of the story is at one point, we had about $40,000 in credit card debt, which is like terrifying to me.
Yeah.
My husband quit his job last January and decided to go full force into this business, and he had a 6-figure job. It wasn't, you know, he was doing really well. Yeah. And that was terrifying for me. However, the month that we went without a paycheck from him was the month that we paid off every cent of credit card debt, all $40,000, and we've never had any since. We've been able to, you know, have the money up front now to make those big purchases.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, that was like a God will provide moment. Like, it took a lot of faith for us as a family to know that decision was gonna carry us, and it was like between our faith and just God's grace. Like it was like that month, the month that we had no income, everything got paid off, and we've just been moving forward since. That's
amazing, and it takes some guts.
For sure.
Because when you've got kids, it's different when you have kids. I left the job that within probably a year and a half, I would be making 6 figures based on the growth of my book of business and whatnot. And I left that job, and it was a risk, but it's nothing close to when you have kids. I only have to feed myself.
Right.
I'm the only person I have to feed. When you've got kids and you say, you know what, I'm going to leave a 6-figure job to go full-time into a business that is, you know, there is I think there's, for me, I think there's more security in your ability than there is in putting your security in a job, because that job can just fire you, or they could go under, etc. The owners make bad decisions financially. You could lose that job just as quickly. So, but there is that sense of security when you have a job that's especially 6 figures. You know, it pays your bills, probably plus some. You know, you're able to live comfortably, to take a risk into something that really is unknown. It's like jumping into the ocean and it's like, you know, what's out here? I don't know. It's unknown. And so I applaud you guys for that, because a lot of people don't do that. And you know what? That's fine. That's the life that they want to live, and that's great. I totally understand it. At the same time, to have that guts to do that gives me a lot of courage. So walk me through a failure in the business something that you've learned from.
I mean, we've had a couple. The first one was, I mean, I went into this with no business experience. I didn't get a minor in business. There's no, you know, family members that really have their own business. So
Wait a second. You don't have to have an MBA to own a business.
No. I got my undergrad in biomedical engineering, which is really cool, because I feel like I really am using engineering every day in my business. So I kind of want to like write my college professors and be like, I know you probably gave up on me in college, but I swear, like, I use engineering. But no, I had no business experience whatsoever. So I will be 100% honest and tell you that we started selling our product and made a price before we even knew how much it cost us to make the product. So, I mean, talk about flying from the seat of your pants. Like, we were just like, you know what? There's a demand. Let's just start making it and selling it, and we'll figure the rest out. And it worked out. I'm not advising you to do that, but and we've never changed our prices. Like, it really just worked out. But I would say the biggest thing was, like, I didn't know about trademarks. I didn't have that background to really take a step back. I was just moving so fast that the first name we picked, Lil Buff Bakery, which is cute. It's got a nice ring to it. We were getting lawyer letters. People were trying to sue us for infringing on their trademark. And so that was like our first big mistake, challenge, hurdle. And I think every day I just wanted to quit and say, forget it. You know, this is just too big to go through. Like I said, you know,
What got you through that part then?
We had invested a lot in packaging that already had our name on it. So the thought of just having to scrap all that and start over was just overwhelming. But luckily, you know, the biggest part of owning a business is forming partnerships. And I made a good friend with a lawyer who was kind of willing to like get these people off my back. And we had to go back to the drawing board, come up with a new name. And what I realized through that was, like, this all happened for a reason. Like, this was part of the plan, because as much as Lil Buff Bakery has like a fun, cute ring to it, if you saw it on the shelf, you wouldn't walk by and think that's protein cake mix. You'd walk by and think that's cake. There's 20 other cakes right here too. So when we went back and changed our name to Lil Buff Protein, I really think in the end that it's a much better name for our company. When you see it on the shelves and it's got protein really big, right away you know that's different than Duncan Hines and Betty Crocker. And so I've seen through every mistake, we've grown, we've learned, and it's made us better. And that is just one example.
That's amazing. And I'm going to stop and pause here for a second and point something out, because I do this too, but like, we make mistakes, right? And it's hard to have a positive mindset about it. You know what I mean? And to look at what's the blessing in this problem? What's the blessing in this adversity? And a lot of times, I just did a video on Instagram TV, actually. I posted on YouTube and LinkedIn too, because I think it's so important. It's just a quick 1-minute video that whatever problem that you're facing, whatever adversity that you're facing, whatever struggle, pain, whatever it is, there's a reason for it. And a lot of times the reason for it in general is to build within you the strength that you need in order to become the person you need to become to accomplish what you're meant to accomplish. And so that's what you're doing. That's what you did in that moment, is that, you know what, you did 2 things. One is that I noticed is that you went all in. You bought $30,000. I mean, you invested. You put your back up against the wall. You know, that's a pretty significant investment. You know what I mean? And So you put your back up against the wall so that when you face that struggle, you really had no choice but to get through it. But you did it with a positive attitude, going, well, what can I get out of this? What's the blessing? What's the, the positive? And because of that, and you looked at it like, okay, well, we're actually, because of this, now we've got a better name for our company. And now that positive mindset has been able to help you accelerate the growth of your business and your life, etc. And so I just think that's really important to point out, because we all face those struggles. We all hit those battles. We all hit things, whether it's in our job, in our personal life, in our spiritual life, in our business, whatever it is, we all face those things. But everybody puts their pants on the same way. You know what I mean? We all face these problems. So how do we look at those is really what determines the outcome of those.
Right.
What's been like one of the, I know we were talking before, and I think this is, so we said at the very beginning, what did we say?
The business is exploding.
Exploding. So walk us through this story.
So this month has just been a wild ride. I would say, changing our name was like a hiccup. I would say overall, putting this business together has been, everything has just fallen into place easier than it should. From getting our warehouse, getting all the equipment to go in it, it just literally fell together, and it seemed like this is just too easy.
Yeah.
And then we had a problem last month where one of our suppliers changed the formula of the product they were supplying us with, didn't tell us, didn't send us any samples ahead of time, so we were completely unaware. And we were just going about production like normal and ramping things up, and we found out that everyone's cakes were exploding in their microwave.
Oh my gosh.
And first it took us a minute to figure out what was going on, because to our knowledge, we hadn't changed anything. Sure. And we're trying to think like, what could possibly be happening. So even just to start at square one and figure that out, once we figured it out, we got on it right away to let our customers know what was going on, to let them know how we were going to fix the problem. And the customer response was just amazing. And my one piece of advice is, if you're building something, if you're building a business, especially with a product, create relationships with your customers. Because really it's a blessing for you to be able to serve them. And you have to see it that way. It's not them just buying from you, but really you're serving that customer. And if you can build that relationship, they will have your back when everything explodes. And so the customer response was amazing. And they, they understood like the hardship it was putting us in with our business, and started coming up with suggestions of what we could do to lessen that burden. And, in the end, it worked out. We had one of the best months of sales we ever had, despite the disasters that we were working through. And, it helped us get a lot more quality control in place. It helped us just start to, actually we discovered a new flavor that we're going to be launching because of it.
Wow.
And it just really helped us kind of pull in the reins and take a step back and think like, okay, we've been doing this for 2 years and it's worked. Now we've encountered this hardship. What can we do to A, prevent this, and B, grow through it and become better as a manufacturing company?
Yeah.
So
that's another example of looking at the positive, in the problem.
For sure.
So you talked about relationships. I think relationships are huge. I think actually they're everything, because people have everything you want and need in life. People have love, friendship, money, opportunity, network, experience,
knowledge.
Everything, knowledge, everything. If you could build those relationships in a genuine way, you can leverage those relationships to grow your life. How have you built those relationships with your customers?
With my customers, I always put a hand sign thank you note in every package. I've really tried to work on the customer experience so that when people buy the product, they're not just getting cake, but they're getting an experience. They feel connected with the brand. And so sometimes my kids sign the notes and they start to get that feel of, wow,
awesome.
This is truly a family business. My kids are on payroll too, they'll tell you.
Are they really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So we rope them in as much as we can. And then also through our social media outlet, we are very active with our social media and going on Instagram story. And you know, it's amazing how I'll be in the middle of trying to film like a tutorial on how to make brownies, and my kids will be in the background, and the customers loved it. The one time one of my kids ran by in the middle of my professional tutorial saying, fart, fart, and I'm like, you know, and I thought about like cutting it out and just getting rid of it. I'm like, I can't like have fart on my, you know, my professional business story. And I was like, you know what? Leave it in. And just the things that people could relate to that, you know, they're like, oh my gosh, that's what my kids do, you know, and I'm trying to get something done. And they said, you know, just like your face and reaction, and then you just kept going with your tutorial. And so people really appreciate that genuine, you know, candid, and they feel like when you put yourself out there like that, you know, I'm not trying to hide something. And so then, you know, they have trust in our products. Like, if I'm willing to go on there and show you what my life is like at home, my kids running by saying potty words, you know, when we have an issue with our products, like, you're gonna know about it. Like, this is just who we are. And so that's how we've built that relationship. You know, the hand sign thank you notes are great, but then also just being real with people on Instagram.
Honesty.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I think, we were talking about this before, but what really, I think, with the problem that you had as far as the cake exploding in the microwave and stuff like that, I think big reason why you're able to get through that was how honest you were.
Yeah, definitely.
People love honesty. When you're, especially if you're in sales or business or whatever, if you're not honest, you know, it's not going to go well.
People aren't going to buy from you if they don't feel like they can trust you, and if they don't like you. That's the bottom line. So I probably get a couple hundred DMs a day, and I mean, I take the time to respond to all of them.
Are you serious?
And that's also part of it, is I create relationships with the people. You know, some of them have become really close friends that started as customers, and we've become friends. We've met at different events, and so it's, you know, it's a layered process of how, you know, those relationships are created. But like I said, it's vital to what we do.
How have you, but you've got 56,000 followers on Lil Buff Protein, and you've got 17 on your personal page.
Yes.
How have you built that type of following? And I want to know, because for selfish reasons.
You know, it's really being active and engaged and consistent with your posts, and with responding to people and commenting and things like that. Also, with the business page, it's built itself because our customers love to share what they're creating. It's a really fun product. So it comes with a package of sprinkles on each one. It's fun to make cake creations and put the sprinkles on, and everybody wants to show that they're eating cake and it's healthy. Yeah. So it's kind of just one of those products that spreads by word of mouth naturally and organically, because people just put it out there. And then the third way is just leveraging connections, doing giveaways with other companies, you know, just, you know, sending products to other companies, and we post each other's things, and just working with people to help spread the awareness.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing. I've been working on trying to grow my social media page, but I want to do it in an authentic way. I want real followers, real engaged followers that like my content, like this podcast, you know, and just it's almost like a puzzle, you know, trying to figure it out. It's like the way that I look at social media is it's like a business. You know, I want to provide a product that you're gonna like, right? You know, I want you to like the product and engage with that product. You know, even though you're not buying it, it's still, you know, when I was in sales, one thing that I really learned is a business is all about attention, right? I have to have your attention. So if I'm trying to sell you a product and you don't know me, you're not going to buy from me.
Right.
If you don't know me, you don't trust me, you're not going to buy from me, right? And so the way that I've looked at it, or, you know, the way that I look at it is it's like a business. You know, I want, not in a like manipulative way or anything like that. It's a business, and like I want to provide a good product. You know,
value.
Yeah, I want to provide value, and because if you read my blogs or you read this, you can be encouraged by it. And so the reason I asked that is because I've been, trying to do the same thing, with my social media.
It's hard now. Like, it was a lot easier 5 or 6 years ago to grow your Instagram. The Instagram has put so many things in place now to just make it difficult to grow. And so, like anything else, it's like you gotta kind of work around that and find ways to do it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah, it is. And I have found that because, and I'm always thinking about what's the next one. What's the next, Instagram.
Right.
And how can I get in early? Because Instagram I think is the best platform right now, in my opinion. I think it's also it is the fastest growing, but eventually there's going to be something else. And what is it? But how much does social media play a part in growing your business?
Oh, it's everything.
Huge?
I mean, we really don't spend money on marketing, which is amazing, besides social media. And so without social media, it's like I don't even know how people would have found out about. I wouldn't have even known there was a demand for it, because that's how it all started, was me just posting funny looking cakes on social media and everyone saying I want to buy that, So without social media, this never even would have started.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been huge.
That's amazing. Now, you said you involve your kids in your business. So how does that work?
In the beginning, when we were making everything in small batches, we would pay them to shake all the cake mix and mix it all up. And I have videos of them like shaking it. And now they put stickers and sprinkle packets on our packages. They'll heat seal stuff and then sign the thank you notes and things like that. So it's cool. They're like really invested, really proud of it. They went on a field trip to like a local business, and my son like had his cake shirt on, and he's like, "We have a business," and he was showing off his shirt and telling everybody about the product. And so it's been really cool. And
that's really cool because they're watching you chase something.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they're seeing you pursue something and you take risk. And I coach soccer for a living basically right now. And those kids watch. They watch what you do. They watch what I do, and I'm just their coach. You know what I mean? And so that I think is amazing. Like involving your kids. I don't have kids, but involving your kids in your business and in your life beyond just what you do at home. You know what I mean? I think because them seeing you pursue something is going to inspire them so much more than probably anything else.
Yeah, adding on to that, they've also seen the benefits of it, because they were in daycare 70 hours a week before that, because my husband and I were both working for the man and we were just never around. So we'd see him for like an hour, put him to bed, and that was it. And then when we started this business, we got our kids out of daycare. Now, we walk them to school. We're so much more a part of their lives, and they've seen that by taking this risk, they've seen the benefits of what it's done and changed our life. So it's been huge.
That's amazing. So would you say that you're creating right now like the life that you want?
Definitely. I definitely have a lot more control over my life. I have more control over my day. I spend a lot more time with my family. Even though if you looked at it on paper, I'm working more hours, it's a lot easier to just slip in those hours in places that don't affect us as a family. So yeah, it's been huge.
I think it's really cool. Now, you told me before you have gotten into real estate a little bit too, and which I think is so cool. It's just so funny. You're like, especially the first time we talked on the phone, you're like, I never wanted anything to do with being a business owner or an entrepreneur. I didn't want anything to do with it.
Nothing.
And now here you are. You're like, you've got a 7-figure business. You own real estate now, which I think is really cool. Talk about real estate for a sec. Is that something that you would recommend somebody get into, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's been great for us. I always believe in kind of diversifying your financial portfolio. And so if you put all your eggs in one basket and that basket breaks, you're screwed, And so I think getting into real estate is just another way to kind of diversify that.
Yeah.
And then if you can do it in a way that benefits you, it's even better. So we bought condos down in Savannah, Georgia. So we love Savannah. It's a great city. It's a great vacation for our family to go on. And then just having that extra real estate just adds a layer of protection financially in everything that we're doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been great for us. There's a lot of tax benefits. There's a lot of extra write-offs and things like that. And then again, if it provides value to your life, like we went down in April and we were all swimming and it was snowing up here and it was wonderful. So yeah, for sure. I definitely recommend that.
That's awesome. I want to get into real estate. That's why I asked, because I think that's one thing that I definitely want to do eventually when I have the money to do it and the capital to really invest. Something that I want to do. I just see it as like, when I look at renting property, I'm like, this makes so much sense. You know what I mean? Like you get cash flow right away.
Yep.
You know, you're building equity when you sell. So it just makes so much sense to me. But what would you say your definition of success is?
Gosh, I would definitely say it has changed so much over the years. Just in the way that, you know, before I felt like success was, you know, working a career that could pay your bills and provide a little extra to, you know, for fun money and things like that. And it's gotten so much away from like a financial thing to me. Like in the beginning, it was like success was like if you hit this number, or you made this much money, or you know, you had a house here or a car there. And like now it's just so much more about being happy and just having meaningful relationships, believing in what you're doing and knowing that you're providing value and solving problems for other people. So I would say like my definition of success has definitely like done a 180, even though like financially, you know, things are great. Like that's not as much what I base my definition of success on.
Yeah.
So.
Do you feel like, and I think that's great because
especially for you, like you've kind of seen that. Like you went from having the financial definition of success and kind of come full circle to like just wanting to provide value and inspire other people, make an impact.
Well, and the way that I look at it too is that there's millions of ways to make money. Like, and we have to make money.
For sure.
Right, you got to pay bills, you got to eat, you got to drink water at least, you know what I mean? Like the basic necessities takes money. So you have to make money, but there's millions of ways to make money, you know? So I think you should make more than less. I don't think less brings much value to your life unless it's like you're just hate what you're doing so much,
right,
and take a little bit of pay cut to do something that maybe gives you more free time with your kids or whatever, and it works out, etc. That's great. But so there's always an exception to a rule. But I think like there's so many ways to make money that I'd rather do it doing something that I'm gifted at, or something that I feel as if is within my gifted zone, that gives me that energy, that gives me that purpose. You know what I mean? That you know, I know I can make a lot of money doing what I'm doing one day. You know, and I know that I will, especially with my work ethic. I know that it will happen.
Yeah.
You know, so I definitely see that in my life because I've been 22, 23 years old making good money, and it's great. You know, and sometimes I miss being able to do some of those things that I was able to do, but I know that in 5 to 10 years, I'll be able to do those things plus.
Exactly.
By just chasing after what I feel my purpose is. What do you think your purpose is?
Oh man, that's tough.
Or do you think you know it, or do you?
I don't know. And like the funny thing is, people will say like, "Well, what's your plan for this business? Like, is your plan to grow it and sell it? Is your plan to keep it forever?" And like, it's just so funny. Like, I've always been a planner. I've always known exactly what I was doing with my life, and I literally followed the blueprint I set out for myself. You know, get a degree, get married, have kids, get the job, get the house. You know, good, done. Checked them all off. Thought I was done.
Yeah.
And then this whole business thing, like, put a 180, you know, in my plan. And now I'm just so much more comfortable with not having plans. Like, I'm so much more comfortable in just like taking each day for what it is. And of course, we're always looking for the future. We're always trying to grow, and I mean, we're driven, but like,
Yeah.
I'm not so much as focused on like that next step, or, and so my purpose, I think I'm still finding that out every day.
Yeah.
I thought I knew my purpose when I did anesthesia, and then I flip-flopped on that and started my own business, and then people saw that I had talent with marketing and social media, so then I started consulting there, and so I guess my purpose is just to live out every day and do as much as I can to better myself and better my family and better my position and make an impact.
Yeah. That's amazing. And I think that one thing, the misconception that people have about purpose is that, like, you just, all of a sudden it's like a lightning bolt. Purpose hits you and it's like, oh, this is my purpose, bang. And that's not true. Seek and ye shall find. And that's an ongoing process. You know, things are evolving and changing as you learn, as you grow. And I know you're a person of faith, and it's like walking a line of like following your instinct and your gut. And as you go, things start to come into place. This business starts to come in, right? And maybe in 5 years something else comes in, and you start to just be guided along this purpose journey that like you're following on your path. So I think the misconception is that like there's this lightning bolt of purpose, and it's just not, it's not true. Like, you know, you do have gifts and you do have things that you're good at, which is aligned with your purpose, and you just kind of follow it, you know?
Exactly.
And it's like somebody, like following your heart in a sense, or following just that instinct of like, this is what I'm supposed to do, and I'm just gonna go and try and do it, and I'll figure out if it is or if it isn't. And if it is, like your business, it's definitely, things have fallen into place.
Right.
And that's amazing, that's awesome and exciting. And
Yeah.
that's because you had the courage to go, you know what, maybe I should do this, and I'm gonna try it.
Yeah.
So, well, this has been awesome. Seriously, this has been amazing. And so people can find you on Instagram at your business page is Lil Buff Protein,
Yep.
correct? Which is Lil. I'm going to put this actually on the video so people can see. LILBUFF Protein.
Yep.
Okay, and then your personal page is Lil Buff 02.
Yep.
LILBUFF02.
Correct.
If you had one piece of advice for someone in their 20s and 30s, what would it be?
I would say don't put all your hope in the future, because you never know what tomorrow is going to bring.
Okay.
So, you know, as much as like this is all about like building that future, don't forget to live for today. And my other piece of advice would be, because now I just made it too, you have to celebrate the wins, and you have to take a step back, because if not, you'll start to resent your work and everything that you're doing. So take time to celebrate the good things that are happening in your life.
Yeah.
Don't just always keep projecting forward. If you don't take time to celebrate what you're doing, you'll start to resent everything.
Wow.
So.
That's amazing. I think that the one thing that you said, like being in the moment right now, that's one of the biggest things I've learned recently is like, as much as I want to create the future, like the future doesn't exist. It doesn't. And people argue with me on this. Close friends say, no, tomorrow exists. It doesn't. Right now is the only thing that exists.
Right.
You know, so be all in right now. Whatever you're doing, if you're
Yeah.
whether you're with your family, whether you're working on your business, your job, whatever it is, you're in that workout, be all in that moment.
Exactly.
Because that's the only thing that that's the only thing that exists. It's the only thing that you have. And I think that's huge. So I love that you said that. Like I said, this has been amazing.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Go follow her. Go buy some protein cake. All right. Go follow them. Seriously, it's like just a family-owned business that they're growing organically. It's amazing. And so thank you so much for checking in, tuning in. Like I said, if you're a first-time viewer and you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Instagram or DM me, etc. I respond to everybody. I'd love to get your feedback, not only on this podcast episode, but on the podcast in general. I get certain people on here based on what people have told me. Hey, I want this type of person. I want to learn from this type of person in this type of industry. So if you have that type of suggestion, please reach out to me. You know, my brain is not that smart, okay? But all of your brains put together helping me create this is will be a huge help. So please, any sort of advice, leave a review, comment, etc. Would really appreciate it. But this has been awesome. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you again, Christine.
Thank you.
And you all take care and God bless. Awesome. Good stuff. That was great.
Yeah, what I was gonna say about like living for now is and this is like so out of character for me, but I had like a 31-year-old patient a couple weeks ago, and we went to do just a simple procedure on her, and they put the scope in her mouth, and there was cancer everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And it really, really shook me up. Like, I was like, this is a 31-year-old that just got diagnosed with terminal cancer. What would I be disappointed about if someone said today, like, Christine, you have cancer and that's like, you got a couple months, like,
yeah.
What would like disappoint me? And I realized that like I was taking every penny we were making and putting it into retirement and, you know, investing and like my kids' college fund, and like I really wasn't enjoying any of it now. It was just like everything was towards the future, because that's how my mom, she's like so financially responsible and like save every penny, you know. And I went home from work and I was like, I am not enjoying any of this now, and I am putting all of my hope in the future. And so I turned around and bought a Tesla. So I bought a
wow.
really, really fun car, and I was just like, and I've never owned a cool car. I've never like been into cars, but I really like Tesla. And I was just kind of like, I need to like do something to like enjoy some of this now. Of course, still be responsible and like save for retirement, save for my kids' college fund. But at the end of the day, like if I'm not also enjoying some of it now and then I retire and I'm not healthy, like what was the point of that, you know? Yeah. So yeah, that was really cool. I'm excited about it.
That is cool. So when did you get?
I got it last week.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love Teslas.
I know, they're so fun. Cool. We got the SUV one, and so
oh, you did?
It like has the gull wing doors and stuff like that open like that. It's really cool.